Hello and welcome to another week of Current Affair. Nice to be with you once again. By now you're probably familiar with those so-called Nigerian scams. A con man claims access to vast wealth in an overseas bank account. All he needs is a few $1,000s to pay various fees and fines. If you agree to spot him alone, he promises to cut you a share of his fortune. The account doesn't exist, of course, and payday just never seems to come. Usually these con men are based overseas, but we've found a man running the same scam here in Australia, preying on battlers and ruining lives.
50,000 would give you $500,000.
$500,000?
Yes.
The police need to take action immediately to stop this type of criminal activity.
As authorities are doing overseas?
That's correct.
I'll tell you one thing, okay? If I can get a 50, then I can get in the rest of my money, which is another $26.4 million, which is now in London.
After years living it up on other people's money, Josef Horv is about to go down.
If you give me that 50, I can access it immediately. Within 48 hours, it's in my account here in Australia.
He fabricates it through saying that he has offshore accounts with fees owing, and what he asks for is the fees to be paid so that he can release the money, and in return he promised people large sums of money.
Normal $500,000 would be paid no more than within 21 days.
21 days? Okay.
Neil East is president of the E Foundation, a non-profit support group for people suffering depression.
I loaned this woman some money to help her because she was in a terrible state, and then no sooner had that occurred than they were on the phone again trying to extract more money. And
Neil was horrified to learn that elderly widow handed over $150,000 to Josef Horv. She's the full-time carer of her quadriplegic son, but now she's selling the family home just to stay afloat.
What they do is they start off in a low number and then they gradually build it up. And, they might start with 3,000 or 4,000, then it goes up to 13, and then it just goes up the line. And we're talking large sums of money here. It's not just, tens of thousands. We're talking hundreds of thousands.
On Queensland's Gold Coast, a string of investors have given a lot of money to Mr Horv. But time and again, the promised payday comes and goes with no return.
He just tells them another story saying that the money will come tomorrow. He comes up with fabricated stories like the money's come on shore, but because the fees weren't paid on time, it then had to go back offshore.
Okay, you've got to pay the anti-terrorist certificate, the money laundering clearance certificate. You have to...
Sadly, it all sounds familiar.
Anti-terrorist clearance fees, money laundering.
Go. Police officers. Yeah.
Last year, we exposed this global crime syndicate.
No, I'm not struggling. I'm relaxed.
London-based perpetrators of the so-called Nigerian scam, also known as advanced fee fraud. While Scotland Yard is cracking down on this multi-billion-dollar con, it seems to be a different story here.
Yes, I contacted the Federal Police in Brisbane and I told them the story. They then weren't interested and they said it wasn't their problem and that I should contact the Broadbeach Police, which I did do. They were very helpful but said it wasn't their problem, so they sent me to the Broadbeach Federal Police. They said it wasn't their problem, so they then sent me back to the same man that I talked originally, and he was not interested at all and not helpful.
So it's millions of dollars?
It's millions of dollars, yeah.
Josef Horv provides investors with what appears to be internet printouts from his offshore accounts, but the bank is a fake.
He's using the internet, and a lot of the older people wouldn't understand, what they're looking at when he gives them websites and such to look at, and so they're out of their depth. But ultimately, greed takes over, and then they play the game, and once they start, they just can't let go.
Back on the Gold Coast, Josef is offering Neil and our producer a slice of the action.
Would you go to $1 million for 50,000?
I can go to $1 million, yes.
Would you? And
Look, I have enough money.
You'd sign that?
I signed it, yeah.
Josef will say whatever it takes.
Okay. All right, Neil, did you want to pass me the money?
So long as he gets that 50 grand in his hand.
The one thing you've got to be sure of yourself, right?
Yes.
What I'm saying here.
That's what I'm going to ask you.
Genuine.
Yes. How do we know?
It is cleared and it is absolutely, genuinely, and I can make you money. Huge.
All right, well, here it is.
Sorry to interrupt. Joseph, how you going? Got a bag full of money there, I see.
Well,
My name's Ben Fordham. I work for a current affair at Channel 9.
Yes.
And your routine, mate, it's a classic. You're a beautiful advanced fee fraudster.
Really?
Yeah.
He's malicious with intent in that he preys on elderly and unsuspecting victims in the community, and the damage that man causes out there in the community is horrendous.
$26 million you've got in your bank account, do you?
Correct.
So why do you need to take off a 72-year-old widow who cares for her quadriplegic son? What sort of a man are you, Joseph?
Under pressure from a current affair, Joseph Horvath admits there are a handful of people waiting to be paid.
I will pay him back. How much are you?
$3,400?
Well, you will get it in 21 days.
Of course, Neil got nothing. This exchange was filmed 3 months ago, and despite all that time for Joseph to come good, the news is all bad.
A scum like you should be taken down.
All right.
This is disgusting, your behaviour.
Well, I am going to sue you for everything
Good
you
on
got.
you. I'm going to sue you too, pal.
Good luck, Joseph.
The investors are still waiting for their money, and Joseph isn't finished with his
You've
threats.
been caught out red-handed. You know it as well as I do, Joseph. And if you had $26 million in an offshore bank account, I think you'd be driving a better car.
If you run this in a current affair, you're going to be in big trouble.
I'm not the one in trouble, Joseph.
Ben Fordham with that report again. When Ben spoke to Joseph on Friday, he promised everyone would be paid by today. Well, surprise, surprise, payday has been pushed back to tomorrow or maybe even Wednesday. We'll certainly stay on that case.